Thank you so much for coming on today, Alicia. I
You.
appreciate it. Super excited. And shout out to Jarvis, aka Chainbreaker, for setting this up. If you just want to introduce yourself to me and we'll kind of navigate from there.
Yeah. So in my language we say Nyora Wurin, Narik Alisha, Warang Baguruk,
Ooh.
which means hi, my name's Alicia and I'm a proud Warurang woman. 24 years old and currently running my own business in arts and weaving, and also a participant and artist at the Torch Project.
Wow, incredible. The way you said that, hello, my name is, that's interesting. So in the Aboriginal community, there is sectors.
There's multiple different languages. So
Okay.
each different mob sort of has their own language, but some words will be common amongst most mobs. So like you have words like more, woman jekka, and it's like welcome, or your mom is yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but just like common phrases that is sort of renowned, but then you have, if you go dive deeper into my language, it's its own language within that mob. So I think there's hundreds of tribes within
That's so
Australia
interesting.
that all have their own native languages.
That's very fascinating. I thought it was just like kind of one language, but it's broken up into.
Yeah, it's all different, but then there's some words that are collaborative with between most languages, like of Australia.
Mm.
Kulin Nation, like in Victoria, we have a lot of like similar phrases that we'd use, like baguruk, which is woman, and yeah, like woman jekka, which is welcome. Yeah.
That's very fascinating. Where do you feel like in Australia is like the strongest community when it comes to Aboriginal?
Oh, all of them. But
Really?
I feel like
Like where there's like like a majority of them, you know what I mean? Like
I
that.
feel like well, it's hard because we only make up 2% of the general population of Australia, Indigenous peoples. But I think there's been a great disposition of like um, effects of colonialism on Victoria and Sydney, especially because that's where the first fleet landed, and that was where a lot of like the genocide was prominent, and hence why there's a lot of fair-skinned Indigenous women like me
Mm.
in comparison to like Northern Territory where you have your darker skinned Indigenous people, because it was more rural and the white men would die trying to travel out into the desert.
That's incredible.
Mm.
So it started off pretty much in Victoria.
Yeah. Oh, so the first fleet, like Captain Cook or whatever, he landed in Sydney on Invasion Day, and that's when that began, to my knowledge. And then along the coasts was where most of the massacres had happened, and where they'd poisoned the waterways and they had taken the women, and it was just, yeah, very horrible. There was an act in the 1880s up until I think it was the 1970s when they had the referendum. It was called the Indigenous Protection Act, so the Aboriginal Protection Act. And in that act, mandated by the government, they could choose where Aboriginal people lived, who they married, that they weren't allowed to speak their language or practice their culture. There was, yeah, it was horrible. They actually had a zoologist do a investigation, or a like a in what was the word? Yeah, a zoologist did a investigation on Indigenous people, and mind you, zoologists, they specialize in zoo animals.
Mm.
So just to see that you had someone that was in a speciality of zoo animals doing a test on Indigenous people just shows how corrupt like it was. And that was only recently, like quite recently, he did that. My grandfather was born like a plant because anyone before 1979 or 69, when they had the referendum, any person born between that time was considered flora and fauna if they were Indigenous.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's quite recent. So yeah, sometimes I have a lot of arguments with people talking about, oh, like the effects of colonialism only happened 200 years ago, but at the end of the day, there's still ongoing like trauma that has been the effect of colonialism that's still going on today. That's unjust. Like it's not just, oh,
Ancestral.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's and just I'm I think my goal in life and my mission and my purpose is all I want to do is just support mob and be able to like help change the script up and rewrite our stories and empower mob and just be able to not fall victim to the justice system, or fall victim to sort of substance abuse and stuff like that. Like, I've had my time where I've been in active substance use, but I was able to pull myself out of that with a lot of strength and support behind me. And I will want to see more people, especially people that are struggling, be able to motivate themselves or be able to have that circle that can support them in getting there and being able to have that sobriety.
It is actually very important to have a strong support. I think some people have the discipline to do it themselves, but some need that support.
Yeah, 100%. For me, I did need that support. I didn't have the discipline to do it myself, but also I was quite young. So I fell into substance use when I was about 14. Um, my substance was alcohol. Was very, very bad. Never did drugs or anything like that. I was exposed to drugs from quite a young age from like my parents. Dad, I grew up with my father in prison. He went to Pendridge when he was younger, like in and out of prison my whole life. I sort of had to, my mum, I love my mum and I love my dad, but they had their own, I guess, demons or problems that they had to face. And it kind of was a collateral on my upbringing. They had me quite young and they had me in a quite time where they didn't have their stuff together. But fair enough, like, I'm happy to be here and I love them and they tried their best. But I wasn't handed like the card. I wasn't handed a silver spoon. Like, I wasn't handed my cards from the start. I had to sort of build my own um and navigate the world myself. Like, not being taught right from wrong, normalized behavior and glorification of sort of negative things, like being used to people going to prison from a young age and being used to substances. It was something I had to navigate and actually learn, like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge. Being so young and not having someone to kind of navigate and saying, this is wrong, this is right. Because then you have to go on this journey and experience certain things to understand what's right or wrong.
110%. Yeah. So I think for me, I fell into, we were obviously very, very poor. Like, couldn't even get lunch money off my mum or anything. There was times where we had no electricity. I grew up never with Wi-Fi, but no toilet paper sometimes. Like, yeah, the lights were off in the house. It was hard. I think I went through school without like uniform. Like, with the uniform would be like 4 sizes too big because it would be hand-me-downs. And one of my teachers actually had to buy me shoes. So I was obviously a victim of like being bullied. Like, I got bullied quite a lot in high school, to the point where I was in a really, really dark place. And I noticed that I didn't fit in anywhere. And as a young person, you just want to be able, you're a social being. All you care about is like your friends, that social group. Like, as when you're younger, how I look at, when I look back at it, when I was about like in high school years, my main drive and focus was just being accepted amongst a group of friends. Yeah. And it was when I started hanging out with a low minority group who were also like victims of racism and bullying, and we kind of found that common ground of, oh, we're being targeted by, like, you know, the people that are doing the bullying, which is like mostly the people that are like come from good families, like successful, rich, or just being able to me and this minority group came together and we had the common sort of wanting to fit in. And it was when I started hanging out with this group where we started getting into a little bit of trouble. It started off only little things, like very little.
You know what's strange is I've been tackling this issue with a lot of, criminologists and lawyers and stuff. We only go into that, seek that group and find happiness in it because we can't find love anywhere else.
Yeah.
We find it with our friends.
Yeah.
We feel welcome.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of start spending so much time with family and get up to mischief, because we're searching for that love. We can't find it at school. It's lacking at home, but we find that our friends.
Yeah.
Although even if our friends are bad, we still want to hang around with them because we feel loved. And what also is also very strange, and I'm starting to really understand it these days, is racism.
Mm-hmm.
It's you going through your life and experiencing it. Now looking at it, what do you define racism?
Oh, so I mean, I've experienced like I wouldn't say direct racism, but racism in the fact of like you have your bogan Australians that will say, oh, you know, like you're too white to be Indigenous, and or your color of your skin, you're not Aboriginal. But at the end of the day, I just say what my grandfather used to say to me, and that was like, no matter how much milk you put in the tea or coffee, it's always going to be tea or coffee. And I felt that. I think if people were less ignorant and understood the history of this country, they'd understand why there is a lot of fair-skinned Indigenous people like me. But then I also experienced a lot of my family members go through racism. Like my dad and my grandfather had gone up to Darwin, and they were staying there for a little bit. They were going to go to a pub. My dad was alongside my grandfather, and the security guard had stopped my dad and my grandfather, and he said he can't come in, talking about my grandfather. And my dad was like, that's my dad. And then he's like, no, he's Aboriginal, he can't come into the pub. My dad was like, I'm Aboriginal too. So it was really just that base on skin color that they were labeling him, that he wasn't allowed to come into this pub. So yeah, my dad just ended up running out with a whole bunch of pints.
Yeah. It's a strange world, and I don't seem to understand why we have this extreme hatred.
I agree.
You know, whether it's your religion or your color of your skin, I don't understand
Either do I.
because we're not born with hate. You know what I mean? So clearly, it's taught to us through somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like even what I went through within the educational system and the curriculum is like in school, I was always taught about the colonies and how the colonies were created, and Captain Cook and how he conquered Australia and he made it this beautiful place. But then I learned nothing about my Indigenous peoples at all. It was like a one page, and it was just like, it was very not taking accountability for what actually happened, I think. And not even just for myself as an Indigenous woman. I believe that there's like also so much racism out there and hatred, like for every race, and it's just unacceptable. If I look at it, it's like there's good and bad in everyone and everything. There's
Very true.
yeah, in every race, every religion, there's always going to be good and bad. And to label someone based on their race or religion, and just to sort of have that negative, derogatory sort of mindset behind, oh, they're this, so they're this. It's ignorant.
Going back to your journey, how was it growing up in the in your youth days?
Yeah, so I did grow up in a housing commission. As I said, I was hanging out with this minority group. It started off with like little petty crime, but then moved into more larger scale crimes. The only I think I noticed is like I was bullied through high school up until about year 9. And once I had become friends with this group of people who were also just trying to fit in and find their place, I noticed that as soon as I was feared, and as soon as I was like seen as like a loose cannon, or like the bullying stopped.
How strange is that?
I know.
Very strange.
So as I was susceptible, I wasn't susceptible. I wouldn't say that's susceptible to bullying, but I'd say as I was like more in my shell, alone, isolated, very shy, and people took advantage of that to bully me more and more. But it wasn't until I started actually like standing up for myself and then becoming more sort of aggressive and putting this mask of intimidation front on that people started to go like, well, like, and the bullying stopped. So I obviously, with this group of friends that I had, was like, wow, like I'm no longer crying every night in bed. I'm no longer wondering why I'm not good enough. Like I feel my place, I'm fitting in here. But then there was also sort of like a culture and un, unspoken law that we followed, and that was like really like old school morals where it was like loyalty or like no snitching and, like don't say too much, sort of within that group. So we're all very loyal to each other. But then we kind of used that in a negative way, and where we were then being involved in a lot of like criminal behaviors and stuff. I think now looking back at it, a lot of it was wanting to feel a part of something. A lot of it was friendships and coming together because finding that love as well, like you said, but that we were also started to fall heavily in substance use together. Like we were drinking every day, partying every night. And I used to tell myself, like, if I die tomorrow, as long as I've lived a fast life. Like I
Yeah.
never thought I'd live a day past 35. And I kept telling myself that. I'm like, I'm going to die young, but I'm going to die fast. Like I'm going to live a fast life. But now, being 24, I look and I'm like, I want to live till 80. Like I want to see my grandkids grow up. I want to eventually have great grannies. But it was just a total shift. Like I think, like from where I was to where I am now, I think
Do you feel like you were kind of with drinking alcohol very heavy? It was just numbing pain and trauma.
100%, 110%. So I think my substance use really was trying to put that band-aid on something that was a lot bigger, like the bigger picture. And I was always pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down. And especially as a teenager and as a kid, as you don't know why you're feeling these feelings or you don't understand them properly. Like you've got like trauma, but you don't know how to deal with it. That's why I always say like to fall back on your support systems as well. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for so many supports I had, like alongside VARS, which is Victorian Aboriginal Health Service. I had psychologists there. I went to Bunjawara rehab, and just the support that I had there and that big hug and like warm circle. I was like not alone.
Mm. It's very important to kind of understand and say to yourself like, I want to change, because if you don't implement that first thought, you're just going to keep going in that cycle, and that cycle gets worse and worse and worse. Because with substance, it's like a little band-aid, and then it falls off the next day, and you're like, oh, I could do it again. And it's just a repeat, and all of a sudden you're like five years into an addiction,
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop there. It gets worse and worse until you start to say to yourself, I need to stop and I need help.
I think it's hard as well, being able to find that like point like that makes you stop. Like for me, my motivation was obviously like my daughter and like um once I got clean, I had that clear mind. But a lot of what stopped me was obviously like that having an extra purpose other than yourself, like a child. That's what's kept me clean this long as well. As what was I gonna say? I think. Oh, sorry, my brain's gone.
That's okay. I think purpose is important. I think if you don't have a purpose, you start to question, why am I here for?
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of objective in life. What is your objective now in life?
Yeah, no, I agree. You have to have something that drives you, something that gets you up and out of bed every morning. With substance use, you're always chasing something like, and you forget about everything else, and you're just worried about just, how you're going to get your next hit, or how you're going to get your next high, or how you're going to get your next charge. And that's just a constant thought and pattern that goes through your life. And it stops you, for me, it stopped me really just being able to that mental clarity of being able to see what my future looked like. Like I was living day by day and thinking about how am I going to get some more alcohol, or how am I going to, I think it's hard when you're in it, you're in great denial. Like I was in such severe denial. Like I told myself, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm only 21. Like I can't be an alcoholic. You have to be 40 to be an alcoholic or something, or you'd have to be drinking for over 10 years. So I told myself these little lies to sort of make myself feel better about what I was doing. And there was just constant denial on my behalf. Like it wasn't until I ended up in prison that I realized like this was a problem. Like it was almost like it was too late. And if I had have saved myself a bit earlier, then a lot of the stuff that happened wouldn't have happened. I think prison, oh, it was interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it was in prison. my negative experience was from the correctional officers. It actually wasn't from the other prisoners. So the dynamic in prison, especially women's prison, is a lot different to men's prison, I've noticed. I was in open unit, R&T, mainstream.
Open unit is with all other prisoners.
So
Okay.
in Dame Phyllis, maximum security in Dame Phyllis Frost Centre, it's basically looks like a big university. It kind of looks like Latrobe. Like it's just a big open sort of area, and you have different units, but all of the units mix besides protection. It's like over a fence.
That's very different to men's prison.
Yeah. So there's no segregation in women's prison.
Why is that? Is there a reason for that?
I think because it's small. It is very small. They don't have the capacity. They also don't have enough staff. So all of the women currently at Dame Phyllis Frost Centre have been locked down for the past 6 months for understaffing. Yeah, so they've been locked in their cells, not allowed out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just because of the neglect of the government, and the neglect of the government can't get their shit together and provide more staffing for the prisons, so the women are suffering.
How strange is that? No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's not on the news.
No. I think because the accountability would then, and the blame would then fall back onto like the blame would fall back on the government for not being able to provide a sort of appropriate prison. It's very corrupt. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but what I went through also in prison was very corrupt. And my biggest support was the women. So people think going to prison is like, oh, I'm scared of, people are going to fight me or bash me. No, like.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what they make it seem.
A lot of your problem in prison is going to be from the people that should be trusted the most in everyday life, and that's the authorial figures. Yeah, they are the ones that are going to give you the hard time.
Really?
Yeah. So I was on remand. I was on remand for 4 months. This is before I had my daughter. And whilst on remand, I spent 2 months in solitary confinement.
And for the people that don't understand, 2 months in solitary is very hard.
Oh, sorry. It is very, very hard.
Is it 1 hour a day release?
Yeah, but because it was during COVID, we didn't even get that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they're meant to give you a 1 hour airing, and the thing is your airing is in a metal cage with a steel bar roof, and you can't see out. You can only see up at the sky through the steel bars, and that's your outside time.
For 2 months?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Oh, I mean, I know a lot of girls that have been in solitary for years, and I can't, like, personally, me, what I went through in solitary, you're in a small room, probably 3 by 2 meters. It has everything in there. It has a shower. It's all yellow bricks, and it's tagged up to the brim. Tags up the walls and everything, and the toilet seat's broken. Oh, there's no toilet seat, sorry. The toilet's broken, it doesn't flush.
Wow. That's all right. Let off party.
Yeah. So I started at the start, I was trying to stay as mentally strong as I could. I tried to keep myself busy, give myself routine, because I know everyone thrives off routine and needs routine. So like you'd get up for count. So I think around 7 a.m. you'd have count, which is where you have to stand up in your cell and they count you.
Mm-hmm.
You do that 4 times a day. And between then, I'd either like write in a book or watch a movie or something. But it started to get to the point like where it was so bad where I couldn't tell the difference between like reality and like, it sounds insane, but I started to really deal with some psychosis. Like, yeah, it got to the point.
Because, like, what does a person even think being in a room 24 hours locked up?
You're left with your own mind.
Yeah. Like, like, what does a person start to think and feel? And
honestly, you are left to your own device, you have to be very mentally strong. Like, let's say you're not in a place good mentally, which a lot of women who are in prison aren't really that mentally strong because they've gone through something traumatic or something, they're isolated from their family. So you're already sort of dealing with enough mental strain. But then to be in the position where you are cut off from socialization. Like me and the girls, we used to watch Big Brother and we'd sit at the bottom of our cells where we had a grill. You couldn't see through it, but we'd talk through the grill so we could talk to each other in the hallway. And we'd do that every morning. We'd get up and we'd have our coffees. We'd make our coffees and we'd sit on the floor at the door at the grill and just say, "Oh, good morning. How are you?"
And you can't even see them.
Can't see
Don't
them.
even know
You
if
don't
they.
know what they look like. You don't know.
That's solitary is a whole different level.
100%. Like I went through some serious psychosis. I couldn't tell the difference between day and night. I started to really lose myself, couldn't even recognize the person staring back at me in the mirror. It got that bad. It wasn't until I was released in the mainstream compound that I was actually able to sort of be able to have that breath of fresh air. You're allowed outside. See, in solitary confinement, I had a vitamin D deficiency, obviously, and I had everyone on there is on meds and they're taking vitamin D pills because they're not getting enough sun that our human bodies need.
Yeah, that's right. You deprive the person from that, it starts to contribute to a lot of stuff.
100%. So yeah, that was the first sort of part of my remand. In the compound, I did go through some really horrible things like you're not meant to get strip searched by men. I've been strip searched by men. You're not meant to go without sort of medical necessities. I had my asthma puffer stolen. I was locked in a cell for an hour on a hot day without an asthma puffer and almost died. And took them 45 minutes to respond and give me an asthma puffer. And they threw it through the trap. They didn't even open the door and check in on me. They just threw it through the trap. And then I had to crawl to the asthma puffer and use it, which is horrible. That was really bad.
So you experienced heavy racism as well in there.
Yeah, a lot of racism. And I think the guards or the screws, sorry, they segregate and the most racism that they sort of expel is towards the Indigenous community. It is just beyond like anything I can talk about. But my biggest support while I was in prison was our ALO, and that was Kirsty Gray. She was the breath of fresh air for all of us women. She was our advocate. She was our everything. She honestly was the reason why a lot of us girls are doing so good today, is just because she just took care of us. She was our support system. Like in a place that's so dark and so bad, we had Kirsty and she supported us as an average.
Shout out to Kirsty.
Shout out to Kirsty.
What an incredible human being.
Yeah.
You know, I think the world needs more people like that
110%.
to give hope for those that have lost hope.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. So I was released on bail.
What did prison teach you?
Oh, that not I love this saying, but it's people aren't bad people. Their behavior can be bad at the time, but them as a person, they're not bad. So how I look at it is like with my toddler, she could be throwing a tantrum, throwing toys around, or she could be kicking her legs on the floor. She's not a bad person. She's a little innocent little girl. She's not a bad person. Her behavior at the time is bad, but as a whole, as a person, she's a good person. She's got a loving heart. A lot of women in prison, they're good people. I sit and have breakfast with them. We'd have Christmas together. We'd, cuddle and watch movies. We'd braid each other's hair. We looked after each other. They're good women. They just have made some poor decisions in their life that have led to them to being in prison. So this whole stigma of, oh, you've been to prison, you're bad, or you're a criminal or whatever, is like, we're human beings.
We all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes.
It's how we learn and progress forward.
Yeah.
Do you feel like prison works?
No. So personal. Oh, I mean, for people that are in one category of crimes, yeah,
Mhm.
which is like
The more intense.
not even like murder though. Like I feel like sometimes I've like been in prison with a few murderers and you hear their story and you're like crying about it. Like it's just
Really?
yeah, more sort of the on the sides of men that or women that have got charges like against children or something. Like
Mm.
they deserve
Yeah.
jail.
Yeah, for a long time.
But your everyday person in mainstream prison is actually a good human being. When I was sentenced, I got sentenced to 2.5 years. When I was sentenced, I got sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. I was sentenced when I was 6 weeks pregnant.
Ooh.
Sorry, 6 weeks postpartum. So,
How was that experience?
oh my goodness. So upcoming to my court date, I obviously knew that I was going to prison. I was on bail and I was pregnant. I knew I had this court case hanging over my head, and I can't explain nothing worse than having sort of the unknown, the fear of the unknown, and hanging over your head.
The
And
worst kind of feeling.
it's the worst. And I was carrying a life, a brand new
Yeah.
life. I didn't know whether or not I'm going to be able to keep this baby. Like when I first gave birth, this was 6 weeks until my sentencing. I couldn't bond with her properly. Like I went through some severe postpartum depression because I was trying to protect her, but then also protect myself because I didn't know whether or not I'd be able to stay with my daughter. So I was in the hospital bed, like crying. They gave me my baby, and I just like was just crying because I was like, I want to stay with my baby. Like
Especially being young.
100%. And as a first time mum, and like that was my baby. But I was like, I know I'm going to prison in 6 weeks. I don't know whether or not she'll be able to come with me. So I really detached myself from her. I still fed her, still looked after her. She was clean and perfectly looked after. But that mental sort of bond, like letting her sleep on my chest and stuff, I didn't do that because I was trying to protect her from that detachment and that abandonment issues that she could potentially have. It wasn't until 2 days before I got sentenced that I got notified by the commissioner that I was approved to have her in prison with me.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So,
I've never heard of that, to be honest.
yeah. There's a program called the Living with Mum program. You have to apply. It takes up to 8 months to get approved. So the second I fell pregnant and I had known that I was pregnant, I applied for it because I knew I was going to prison.
That's incredible. So how does that work? Like, does the baby have like a special area or?
Yeah, oh, not really. So, women in Victoria can have their child in prison up until they're 5 years old,
Wow.
until they hit school age. Um, they try and have most of the children in minimum security because it's open camp, it's better. Maximum security, they try to limit the children. I was in maximum security raising my daughter, and there was challenges there.
Oh, the challenges would be intense.
I think being a first-time mum is hard. Being a first-time mum raising your child in a maximum security prison, there's not a pregnancy book or a postpartum book that you can read about that.
No. Just experiencing, understanding, exploring, trying to figure out things.
100%. So yeah, she was 6 weeks old. We entered the prison gates and I had her in a stroller. I was wearing my blue uniform and I had my guard up. Like I was in protective mum mode. I was like, I need to protect her like so much. Not so much from the women, but just from like the staff and what this is going to look like. I think I was so blessed. I had so much support because a lot of the women that were there are also mothers themselves. And it was very hard for them because they're missing their babies, but they got to have the opportunity to be able to hold my little girl and be able to give her that love. And it really healed something. I could see the women's eyes light up like when they held her. And I was so lucky because I didn't have my mum in there. Like people, when they first have their kids, they go to their mums, they stay with their mum, they need that help. I had the women help me. They helped me raise my baby. And I was so lucky because I didn't know much. Like I'm a first time mum. 22 or 20, yeah, I was 22. I didn't know anything from a bar of soap. And I had all these women that were just so beautiful. They were aunties to my daughter. And they kept her safe and they made sure that she was looked after. And the thing is my daughter now, she's thriving. Like, she has not got one traumatic bone in her body. And she was so little. She didn't know anything else. She didn't know she was in prison. We were in an open unit, so there was a kitchen, there was a bathroom, you could walk around. You'd get locked in at night, so you couldn't go into the main area, but you'd be locked in a house. And I had my formula, my bottles, everything I needed. And if worst case scenario, I needed medication for her, you buzz up. I mean, there's negative things about buzzing up, but when you have your baby in custody, I'm going to do anything to take care of her.
Yeah.
And you can ask them for medication. My biggest struggle was the officers again. They gave me a very, very hard time, even with my daughter in prison. I had a support service though, like Kirsty supported me so much whilst I had my daughter in there, made sure that I had everything I needed. It wasn't until she was about 4 months old that I got moved to minimum security prison. And in minimum security, it was so much different. Like, we got day leave once a week. Oh, sorry, once a month we got day leave. So in minimum security prison, not a lot of people know this, but even in men's prison, once a month you get put in plain clothes and you go out into community and you go back to jail at the end of the day. That's called day leave. And it's basically trying to help people reintegrate so that they can get used to being in community again. Because the thing is there's always an end date to your sentence, whether or not you everyone has a day that they're going to be back out in community. Well, most people. So I think having someone and giving someone the facilities to be able to reintegrate prevents long-term effects of going back into prison. That was like that sort of like recidivism. I think if someone is given the tools and the support to be able to reintegrate into community after being in prison for such a long time, they're less likely to reoffend. And that's why I think they need more funding and like support in that step down from prison.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just get out of prison and they'll be overstimulated. I know when I got out of prison, I was like shocked. Like, I was like, wow, there's so many things to take in. Like, I'm so used to seeing the same pattern every morning, seeing the same person doing the same like lunch drop off, sorry. When I came out into community, I was like, even overstimulated at seeing a guy pay for petrol at 7-Eleven. I was like,
Odd.
yeah, I was like, this isn't what I've been seeing for the past year and so. Like, I was so used to this routine, but it was institutionalized routine and it was like embedded in me. But a lot of people can't handle that overstimulation when they're first released. And if they don't have the support systems, they're just going to fall back into drugs. Or it's going to be a revolving door.
Reoffend and go back in.
100%.
I had a criminal lawyer on yesterday who was saying it. He was like, some of these kids don't feel safe outside in this world. They feel safer in the prison. So what do? They actually come out, they reoffend and go back in.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's in prison, like, it's sort of like a mandated routine. People build like a friendship or a family in there, and they want to sort of. Some people just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I think that if they have the tools and the supports to be able to reintegrate into community, they would be able to see so much things that they can achieve out here and be able to amount to. But I think it's also to blame is the prison staff. The prison staff belittle you so much. They tell you that you're not worth it. They tell you that you're never going to amount to anything. Negative thoughts all the time. They put you down so much that you start to believe it. So in prison, there's this big sort of like derogatory for given against the prisoners. I once had a prison staff tell me he stole all of my clothes in my room, all my laundry, all my bed sheets, and made me sleep on the cold foam mattress. And he told me, who are they going to believe? You, a prisoner, or me?
Why do they do this? What's the reason behind it?
Personally, I think there's like lack of training for the prison staff. I think all prison staff should come from a community services background and not just be any everyday Joe. But the thing is that they're so understaffed that they're grabbing anyone to let them have that job. But I think if people are going to be working in such a vulnerable situation with people that are going through some really hard times, you need to have someone that comes with a bit of empathy and a bit of
Yeah.
sympathy. It would change the whole dynamic. And it also, I think that prisons need to be more central focused on rehabilitation instead of punishment.
Yeah.
I think punishment method is only going to bring people to want to get revenge when they get out. It's going to put someone down so much where they're not going to amount to much because they won't be able to have that self-motivation. But if you make something some dynamic, if you make the prison dynamic rehabilitating, people will come out with motivation, with the skills to be able to be in community. It's so punishment based. And everyone has an end date to their sentence. There's going to be a time when they're back in community. They might be locked away for 5 years. They'll be out. And they'll be out when your kids are 10. They'll be out when your kids are 15. If you, like, I think if you want to run a better country, if you want to make sure that you have less crime, or not, I'm sorry, not crime, like less people going in and out of prison and that reoffending, make prisons more rehabilitating. Let people be able to have their family members, like have that circle come a lot more often. Like, I understand people can sometimes be very dangerous, but it's also getting down to the root of the problem. Why is that person acting that way?
Correct. And letting them become constructive. Let them do constructive ideas and create these skills. And I've heard some very incredible artists, painters and drawers, and people that are really good in philosophy and reading and all that, which is quite fascinating. Like, there's really, really smart people in there.
Yes, 110%. So I was lucky. The Torch Project, it's a non-for-profit organization. They started, it's funny how they came about. We had Kent Morris. He is our CEO and our founder. Oh, sorry, he's not our CEO. He's our founder, Kent Morris. He is an Indigenous man. He was supporting the men in prison back in early 2000s. He was supporting the men in prison by just that cultural support. And he noticed that a lot of the men, there was a gap missing. A lot of the men in prison, the Indigenous men, they were painting. They were doing beautiful paintings, but they weren't able to sell them. Like, they were just sitting there or they were getting lost. So Kent had asked to be able to bring one of these paintings out, and he put one of these paintings from one of these prisoners in a big exhibition, and had come across someone with a lot of authoritative power within Parliament that had said, I want to buy this painting. And Kent was like, sorry, you can't buy it because of like technicalities. And he's like, well, what can I do to change the law so I can buy this painting?
That's incredible.
And he ended up changing legislation. So now that people in Victoria who are Indigenous are allowed to sell their paintings whilst they're in prison. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I myself had made enough money to be able to get out of prison and get a place for me and my little girl. I was able to
Incredible.
buy a cot. Most people, I don't know if you know this, but in prison you make $7 a day. You work, yeah, you work from like 7 or whatever till 2, and you make $1 or 50 cents or 80 cents an hour. And mind you, a phone call costs 1 cent a second.
Oh my God.
So I'd spend my whole day's work on one phone call, 7-minute phone call to my family at night. And that would be my whole day. And mind you, you have to also buy soap. You have to also buy your own shampoo. You also have to buy your own toothbrush and your own toothpaste. Like, you have to, it's so hard. So I had to sacrifice in prison calling my family so that I could pay for hygiene products for myself. But so you're earning such a minimal amount of money. People that are in for years, like 6 years, will come out with $400 saved. And when you're back and in community, what are you going to do with $400? Most people just say, fuck it, let's get high. Let's spend that on, like a ball or something. Like, they'll just go and buy drugs because you're not going to get a bond for a house. You're not going to get anything with that amount of money. And you're not going to get a loan because you don't even have an ID.
Yeah, that's true. Who's Alisha these days?
Oh, so I am a business owner. I'm a business owner. I founded Wari Baguruk.
Okay. Can we open? Is this a website on this?
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, let's open this up.
www.wari WARIBAGURK.com.
Incredible. Let's have a look what we got here. Okay. Talk to me about this.
So I started my own business in providing workshops, like cultural workshops. So I do sort of like cultural awareness involvement with weaving workshops. So I bring in either corporate or private events, and I go there and I facilitate a traditional weaving workshop where we make woven pieces. We can make
Wow.
earrings.
Look how cool that is.
Yeah, so that's like our traditional blanket stitch with raffia, and that's what we would use to make like dilly bags. We'd use to make healing mats, and it's really sensitive and very high in culture. And I share that with corporate businesses. I share that with anyone that's wanting to involve themselves in like a culturally immerse workshop. I've done a lot of workshops. I have been able to have a great, pretty good. I started in August, and I've been able to do quite a good multitude amount of workshops to now. I'm going to be buying a house.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That is so powerful and motivating to hear that you were in solitary and look what you have created.
I know. A lot of it is thanks to my supports. I think thanks to my sobriety and also just my drive and my passion for culture.
Incredible. Look at that drawing.
Yeah, so
You got to make me a painting.
yeah, for sure. I will. I'll donate one. I think this room would look really nice with a nice
That's
painting.
incredible.
Yeah.
Do you find like a passion when you sit there and kind of paint?
Yeah, so my grandfather, he's a quite successful, renowned Indigenous artist, and he taught me the practice since I was a boop. I would paint with him, and I think just I always held on to that. And even though I lost it for a while, and it wasn't until I was in prison where I started painting again, it just came back like second nature. Like it was just always there. It was embedded in my blood. And I have really enjoyed, I've done lots of commissions from the Geelong Football Club to the Western Bulldogs Football Club to Reese Plumbing to Wilson's Parking to all of my artworks being on every Wilson's Parking lot nationwide.
That is incredible.
I agree.
How cool is that?
Yeah. It's been amazing. And
That is amazing.
the sort of it fuels me, it gives me drive. I love sharing my culture, and my art style is very contemporary, so it's more like contemporary. I like to include a lot of symbolism in my artworks, and it tells such a great story. I think what I want to do also is my passion and my drive is to motivate mob and be able to see people that sort of words. I like to set the example, even though I'm very young. I want people to know that your past doesn't define you. And even though you could be going through something very, very hard and you think this is the live all end all in your life, like you can amount to some really great things if you just put your mind to it.
Agree.
2 years ago today, if you had told me that I'd be buying a house and that I would own my own business and that I would be a pretty successful artist, I would have told you to I would have said that's not.
There's no limitation
Yeah.
to what you can achieve.
100%. And I love just sharing that with people that are probably think that like they're stuck here or they can't get out. Is like you can, and you really just got to put your mind to it, and you just got to grab every opportunity that comes to you. You got to show up on time. You have to, just really put effort in, and it'll pay off. I also I stay very positive. I like to have a positive outlook on life. I'm trying to use my bad for good. Just be able to rewrite my story and motivate the next generation as well. Be able to make sure that kids, maybe if they're like going through something really hard or they're falling in the gaps, that I'm only 24 and I was able to amount to such great things, and I'm willing to offer my love and support to everyone out there. Even if people just want to send me a DM on Instagram or if they want some advice, I'm there to talk to.
Can we open Instagram as well, Davey? Thank you, Clinton.
And I'd love to give people the tools, or even if they're wanting to start their own journey and like what it would look like to create their own business, or how if they're in a difficult situation, like I want to give my best support that I can. Like I also am a consumer partner with Uniting Housing, and I have lots of support when it comes to housing. I have so many avenues of places where even if someone doesn't know where to go, I can support you. I
Yeah.
have so many places where I've been able to.
Is that yep, that's the
Yeah,
one
this
there.
is my Instagram.
What is a message for the youngsters out
Oh,
there?
I think a message for the young people would be, don't knock it until you try it. I think you, as a young person, someone will tell you, you can't do that, you're too young, or you know you won't. I think I went through a lot of, I still even today go through a lot of like, you're not smart enough, or you didn't finish school and get your degree, so you didn't get that year 12 certificate, you didn't complete uni. Like, obviously it would have been great if I could have, but even though I didn't finish my schooling, I still have the tools and am seeking the sort of education to be able to commit to what I do now. And a lot of it doesn't matter. People will tell you, I love to say to kids, like, stay in school 100%, but the curriculum for school isn't for everyone. Some people are more hands-on. Some people are
Agree.
better at trades. Some people, yeah, some people are more artistic. Just follow your dream and follow what you love, I think, is just really do what is your calling. Don't fall into the sort of curriculum and the mainstream, what you need to know. Like, it's great, but really focus on yourself. Take a break from, what I did is I took a break from social media. I had all noise of what I should look like, or what I should do, or what I should be. And it was noise from the outside world. It wasn't until I took a break from social media and I actually sat with myself and thought, what do I want? Without all the influence, I figured it out. And I think a lot of kids, they're really lost and they try and think, oh, like, I want to be this, I want to be that, or this person does this, and oh, this is popular, so I want to do this. But really, just take a break, push it all away, and think about inside about what you want and really follow your dream.
I agree with you. That is some massive, like, crazy artwork.
Thank
Can you
you.
go up a bit, Clinton? I've seen that blue painting. That's fantastic.
So yeah, I've done a lot of collaborations. I did if you go to the very top, you can see I painted the boots for the Geelong Football Club. So
Oh,
yeah, that was for George Stevens, and I did
so
Jack Martin.
cool.
I've also done quite a bit of commission pieces. I really enjoy doing commission pieces.
That on the left, when they do the painting, can you just describe that a little bit to me? And the outfit, is that like a traditional outfit or cultural?
Yeah, so in my mob, emu feathers are the women's spirits. So we wear emu to be in our like our nurturing sort of feminine energy, and we wear the possum skins, which speak on like maturity. So after you've matured, you get the possum skin to wear as a woman. The painting up as well is we just do from um our stomach, our womb, as they have the circles. I don't know if you can see, but I'm
No.
holding something. But we draw a circle in our womb, and everything sort of stems out. So you've got the lines that go through like your heart vein and everything, and they go around. The dots on your chin stand for your grandparents. So it could be people that you love. So I had my daughter and my two grandparents on my chin. In my mob, if you have ochre across your forehead, it signifies mourning. So we use that for like sorry business. But each different line, each different handprint tells a story. Even with the possum skins, with the emu feather skirts too. The longer the tail feathers are sort of like achievements. So they're the longer feathers that you get as you mature on and as you age. But you can notice as well, you'll notice a lot of elders that wear the possum skin cloaks, and each possum skin tells a story of their life and an achievement. So right now, I've got two possum skins, and I'm 24. And as I get older and older, each different achievement that I go through in life, whether it be getting a new job or supporting community in this way, I'll be getting more and more possum skins. And then as I get to an elder, I'll sew them all together and I'll wear the cloak and I'll wear my story on me.
That's so cool. It's fascinating because I always see these. What about the cheek ones?
The cheek ones,
See how there's on you got the
Yeah,
cheek.
so me and my cousin, we have the ones on our cheeks. I'll have to get her to clarify because she painted me up. So she
Yep.
painted my face and helped me paint my face.
Every symbol has a meaning. That's fantastic.
Yes, they do. So you have your heart as well here.
Yes, there's a little circle.
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
And it just it all connects. It all connects to one story. And it's with my mob, we only paint up as women in white.
Mm-hmm.
Different mobs have different like colors of ochre that we used to trade, but in my mob we only wear white. The women, we don't wear any yellows or anything, and the men only wear red. And I don't touch red ochre. I'm not allowed to. Like as much as I'm not allowed to like play a yidaki, a didgeridoo, I'm not allowed.
Have you played one yet?
No, no way.
I'm dying to get someone on the podcast to play it for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so cool.
Women can't play them.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
In my culture, if a woman plays a didgeridoo, you get cursed. Yeah, so it's meant to be, I think the science behind it is because that circular breathing that you do, it affects your fertility and your womb. So they say, my grandfather, because he would have multiple yidakis in the house, and I was a kid and I was curious and I used to look at them and I'd be like, what's that? He'd be like, don't go near it, don't touch it. And I'll be like, why? He's like, because you won't be able to have kids. And I was like, I won't be able to have kids if I play an instrument. And then he'd be like, yeah, like you won't be able to have kids. And that's just been like embedded into me. And that's, it's renowned through all sort of.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no women are allowed to play the didgeridoo or the yidaki.
But I like how there's a reason for it.
Yes.
It's not like saying, oh, you can't play it, that's it. No, there's a reason why you can't play it.
Yeah, because you won't be able to have babies.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
We play clapsticks. In my mob, we only primarily had clapsticks, but I enjoy playing the clapsticks. We also, as women, had digging sticks, and we'd have our baskets and our dilly bags because we'd be the nurturers and the gatherers and collectors. So we would provide for the mob with the fruits and the sort of stability, and the men would go hunt. Like the men would be the hunters and gatherers and the warriors, and the women would be that backbone, like the nurturers. All of the women used to all have babies at the same time. So we'd all have babies at the same time. So that way, if one woman couldn't produce milk for her child, another woman could. So that way we'd be able to, it was just one big mob. Reason why I think nowadays everyone's stuck to their intermediate family where it's just mum and dad. But we had the whole, that's why everyone is auntie, uncle, auntie, uncle.
Yes.
It's just.
I was going to ask about that because Jarvis keeps mentioning, oh, unk. And I was like, are they all your uncles? I was like, surely they're not all your uncles.
No, so it's because we're not
one family.
We're one family. We're one big mob. We're not defined to just your intermediate mother and father. It's like we're all one village. We're all providing for each other. And we're all one family. And it's just that like everlasting love. And it makes you, having a bigger circle, you just feel more loved and supported.
Yeah, it's true. You feel powerful as well.
100%.
What do you feel like is the community missing these days to advance forward?
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to do my best to be able to support and fill the gaps. We have a lot of support services out there. Like you have JIRA, you have Dadi Munwaro for the men, you have VARS, you have a few really, really big orgs that can be supportive for mob. I think there is a big gap with the support for mob in custody. So right now in prisons in Australia, 1 in 6 people are Indigenous. So 1 in 6 people in prison are Aboriginal, but we only make up 2% of the population of Australia. So we are highly overrepresented in prisons. So I think what needs to happen is that like we need more support systems for when people are sort of entering community again and being able to support mob on really just following their dreams and their goals so that they can stay out of prison and not fall back into substance use or not fall back into that sort of pattern, because a lot of our brothers and sisters are inside.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying to use my story and use what I've been through to motivate others that they can also do the same.
Oh, what an achievement. Absolute inspiring achievement. To know that where you were fighting demons 2 months, like people don't understand like being in there 24 hours a day, people don't understand how difficult that is. You start to lose your mind. People go crazy.
Oh, it's you. I can't even explain it. Like in community, you have constant distraction. You have
Yeah.
constant things to do on your to-do list and tasks that need to be done, or you can go on your phone and you can entertain yourself. But in there, you're really, really restricted to what you can and can't do. And it was just horrible. Like we had no kettles. I had bendy pencils that couldn't even write properly. And you're in this one room. I actually counted all of the bricks in the rooms, and it was getting so bad that even the littlest of details I'd pick up on, like there was a scratch in the top right corner, like I could imagery be able to describe that room to you, but that'd be a bit traumatic for me. But I can have, because I was in there for 2 months, I was like so overstimulated, and I could just like the whole,
That's wild.
and I almost felt like it was caving in. Like
That's how he feels. And imagine the people that are serving long time in there.
I know some people are doing years and years in there, and then I don't understand it because a lot of the time, like there's an end date to your sentence. A lot of people are going to be
Coming out.
and they'll get straight release from solitary. Imagine going from living 2 years in a room this size, even smaller than this room, and then going into the wide world.
Yeah. No.
You'd
lose your mind.
You'd want to go back.
Positive message from you to the world.
A positive message from me to the world is that you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. The world is your oyster. I think your past doesn't define you. That's a big one for me. And positive message for me to the world. I think, yeah, you can really do whatever you put your mind to. Like, there's no limitations. Just shoot for the stars, set goals, and even though sometimes there might be slip-ups or you might not get it right the first time, if you try and you try again, you'll be able to get there.
Incredible. Alisha, you have been incredible. What a story, what a journey. Very, very inspiring to know where you were and where you are now. And I hope that inspires a lot of the youth and a lot of, people that are coming out of prison, and you too can change your life. You know what I mean? You can change it to better. Seek help and reach out to Alisha anytime. If you're just going to go up a little bit, Clinton, please, so you can just see the name. Reach out anytime. Incredible woman, powerful story, and I wish you all the best for the future. You owe me a painting.
Yes, I will get that to you.
That is, and I would love to hang it up in the office here. Very, very inspiring, and I really appreciate you taking time to spend with me.
No.
And sitting here and talking about your wonderful story. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In my language, you say nyatni.
What was that?
Nyatni.
Nyatni.
Nyatni. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. Incredible.